Day 517 of doing a LeetCode problem every day until I get a job. All right, y'all, we're back again another day, another LeetCode problem where we're doing daily LeetCode problems. And today we have question number 3100 water bottles 2. The difficulty level is medium, but don't worry because you already know we're going to keep the solution as simple and easy to understand as possible. But before we get started, y'all, don't forget to like, hype, subscribe, comment, and share. And if you need any new Apple AirPods, go ahead and check out that link in the description so you can get you some. Now let's see what the question says. You are given two integers, nums bottles and num exchange. Num bottles represents the number of full water bottles that you initially have. In one operation, you can perform one of the following operations. Drink any number of full water bottles, turning them into empty bottles. Exchange the num exchange empty bottles with one full water bottle, then increase num exchange by 1. Note that you cannot exchange multiple batches of empty bottles for the same value of num exchange. For example, if num bottles equals 3 and num exchange equals 1, you cannot exchange 3 empty water bottles for 3 full bottles. Return the maximum number of water bottles you can drink. All right, y'all, so that may seem a little bit confusing at first. So let's go ahead and take a look at these examples just to make sure that we are doing this problem correctly. So in example 1, we have our input num bottles equals 13, num exchange equals 6, output equals 15. Explanation says the table above shows the number of full water bottles, any empty water bottles, the value of num exchange, and the number of bottles drunk. Okay, so let's break this down one step further, right? So num bottles equals 13, num exchange equals 6. So that's what they give us in this first row of our tables, right? So we have 13 full bottles and num exchange is 6, right? So boom, this is the first row. So we drink these 13 bottles, boom. So now we come down here to the second row. So we drank the 13 bottles. So now the full bottles is 0. The empty bottles, we have 13 empty bottles because we just drank 13 bottles. So now we are stuck with 13 empty bottles. Num exchange is still 6, and the number of bottles drunk goes from 0 to 13 because we just drank these 13 bottles. So now we have bottles drunk at 13. Boom. It says right here, once again, for example, if that we cannot exchange multiple batches of empty bottles for the same value of num exchange. For example, if num bottles equals 3 and num exchange equals 1, we cannot exchange 3 empty water bottles for 3 full bottles. So that is why right here, after we drank these 13 bottles and now we have 13 empty bottles and num exchange is 6, we can't just get trade in 12 bottles and get 2. We can only trade in the 6 that they give us, and now we have 1 full bottle. So we trade in 6. We have 13 empty bottles. We want to convert these empty bottles into full bottles, but we need 6 empty bottles to exchange and into a 1 full water bottle. So right now we need 6 empty bottles to exchange for 1 full bottle, and we cannot exchange 12 or 18, or we can only do 6 at a time. So boom, that's why we exchange the 6. So now we get 1 full water bottle. We exchange 6. So now this 13 has minus 6 because we just exchanged 6 of them. So now the empty bottles, we have 7 empty bottles because once again, we just gave 6 of these 13 empty bottles so we could get 1 full bottle. So now we're left with 7 empty bottles. Num exchange goes up by 1 because it says exchange num exchange empty bottles with 1 full bottle, then increase num exchange by 1. So now num exchange is 7 because we just converted 6 empty bottles into 1 full bottle. So now num exchange is 7. It went from 6 to 7, and we still only drank 13 bottles because we haven't drunk this 1 bottle yet. We just completed the exchange. Boom. So hence exchange. Then, so now we're left with 7 empty bottles. It takes 7 bottles to exchange for a full bottle. We still have 13 bottles drunk. So we exchange these 7. So now we have 2 full bottles, right? Boom. So now we have 2 full bottles, 0 empty bottles because we just exchanged the last of them for another full bottle. And num exchange is 8 because we increase this every time we do an exchange. We increase num exchange by 1. So 7 turns into 8. So now we need 8 to do a full exchange. We still haven't drunk these last two, so we still only drunk 13 bottles. Boom. Now we drink these last 2 bottles. Boom. We're left with 2 empty bottles, but that's not enough for the exchange. The exchange is now 8. So these two empty bottles are just left over. And since we drunk these two, now 13 goes to 15. And in total, we drunk 15 water bottles. So our output is 15. Now, just in case that didn't make sense to y'all, let's take a look at example 2. Example 2 is the same principle. And also, if you missed yesterday's problem, I would suggest you check out yesterday's problem. That's water bottles 1. It's an easy problem. It's sort of a prerequisite to this problem. So that would be day 516. So if you missed day 516, check that out. That problem is a prerequisite to this problem, and it will make this problem a little bit easier. Now, let's get into example 2. So in example 2, we have num bottles equals 10, num exchange equals 3. The output is 13. The explanation says the table above shows the number of full water bottles, empty water bottles, the value of num exchange, and the number of bottles drunk. So let's go through this table. It's the same principle. So we start with 10 full water bottles. Num exchange is 3, and starting off, we have 0 bottles that we've drunk, and we have 0 empty bottles. Boom. So now we drink these 10 bottles, hence drink 10 bottles. We drink these 10 bottles. Now we have 0 full bottles because we drank them all. We have 10 empty bottles because we just drank them all. Num exchange is still 3, and we have 10 bottles that we've drank. Boom. Now we are going to exchange 3 of these bottles for a full water bottle because num exchange is 3. We're going to take 3 from this 10 and we're going to exchange it for 1 full water bottle. So boom, now we have 1 full water bottle. We just exchanged 3 of these from the 10, so now we're left with 7 empty bottles. Num exchange increments or goes up by 1, so now we need 4 for num exchange, and we still only drank 10 bottles. Boom. So now we can do another exchange, right? Because num exchange is 4. We still have 7 empty bottles, so we get 4 of these empty bottles up. Boom. Now we have 2 full bottles. We take 4 from this 7. We're only left with 3 empty bottles now because we took 4 from this 7. Boom. So we could get this extra bottle here to have 2 full bottles. Now num exchange goes up by 1, so now we need 5 for the next exchange, and we still only drunk 10 bottles. Boom. Now we're going to drink these 2 bottles. These 2 bottles right here, we drink them. Boom. Now we have 0 full bottles. But by drinking these 2, that gives us 5 empty bottles because we were at 3, but now we're at 5. And num exchange is 5. So we can exchange all 5 of these empty bottles. We can exchange it and get another full bottle, right? And we still only drank 12 bottles. We were at 10. We drank these 2. So now we're at 12 not empty bottles. We're at 12 bottles that we've drunk in total. Boom. And once again, we still have 5 empty bottles and num exchange at 5. So guess what we're going to do? We're going to exchange these 5 bottles in this exchange, and that's going to get us 1 full bottle. Boom. So now we have 1 full bottle, 0 empty bottles. Num exchange goes up by 1 because we just exchanged them, and we're still at 12 bottles drunk. So we drank this 1 bottle. Boom. We have 0 bottles left to drink. We have 0 full bottles. We have 1 empty bottle that's left over. Num exchange is still 6, but since we drunk this last full bottle right here, we can add that full bottle that we just drunk to the number of bottles drunk over here. So now we've drunk 13 bottles in total, and our output is 13. So I hope that makes sense to y'all. And now that we understand the question, let's get into the fun part, the actual solution. Solution is actually quite simple. It's way easier to understand than the question, so let's get into it. First thing, we need to start with all the bottles that we initially had. So we're just going to declare a variable called full, and we're going to set that equal to num bottles. Boom. Then we're going to come underneath that, and the initial exchange price, or how many bottles we need to trade in for a new one, we're going to set that as a variable as well. So we're going to declare a variable called price and set that equal to num exchange. Boom. Then we need a counter for how many bottles we've drunk so far. So we need to keep track of that. So we can declare a variable called drink, and we'll set that equal to 0 to start. Now we need to loop as long as we have enough bottles to exchange for a new one. So we're going to say while full is greater than or equal to price. We're going to open up the bottles. We're going to open up the brackets, and we need so we need the drink price amount of bottles in this round. So we're going to say drink plus equals price. Boom. Then after drinking price bottles, then we need to get one new full bottle, which is why we're going to subtract price by 1 by saying full minus equals price minus 1. Boom. Then the exchange price increases by 1 after each exchange. So then we're going to come underneath this. We're going to say price plus equals 1. And now we just need to add any remaining full bottles to the total drunk count by coming right here. We just have to come right here and say return drink plus full. Boom, y'all. That's all the code is. That simple. That confusing problem only needed this little bit of code right here. This easy to understand code right here. So let's run it. Make sure it runs properly before we submit it. It's accepted, so let's go ahead and submit it. Make sure it's still accepted. Let's see. And look at that, y'all. 9 milliseconds beats 100% of users. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I like to see, y'all. So with that being said, I hope y'all learned something today, and I hope to see y'all here tomorrow for another day, another LeetCode problem. See y'all then.